Hello, my friends. This is Tillman once again, and today I want to talk to you about the big reveal. They finally revealed what the cards are looking at for MetaZoo, MetaZoo Part 2. So, we've been talking about it forever, and there's a big stir, and it was a Nick Power and Strength in Pokemon video that came out that was just saying, like, we have the opportunity to buy the set now. At least we can place an order, and the order will be fulfilled within a couple of weeks. What are we getting, right? And there's a deadline for tomorrow, February 15th. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. February 15th is the deadline, and I think not the deadline for cutoffs, but you can still order, but it'll be a different price point. It's a little confusing, but basically they're asking us to, if you want to purchase now, and they're going to start fulfilling the orders, right? But what are we getting? We had no idea. We just have some art that has been leaked. And then Nick went out and put out a whole video that kind of broke it down. He's kind of underwhelmed, and it was overall a pretty negative thing. But he had just said, like, we don't know what we're buying. And I can agree with that. The people that are buying it right now either have to have faith in the product, they have to have faith in Charlie and faith in the artwork and everything else that had come out. And honestly, I'm a big fan of the artwork. And I'm indifferent to Charlie. I think Charlie is a very competent leader in this, a competent owner, competent. The whole team seems really just a more well groomed, well oiled machine that's probably going to run this a lot better than it has been previously. With that being said, we still didn't know what the product looked like. We didn't know what the game was like. Oh, we got that news today. And so we have the artwork and the card work. And honestly, the cards look a lot like a Lorcana card. I played a little bit of Lorcana when MetaZoo had first died. I'm not a big fan of it. I thought the artwork was fine, and I think the cards are fine. It's really reminiscent of a Lorcana card. Doesn't have a lot of semblance to the old gameplay or old MetaZoo, almost whatsoever. It's almost like they completely scratched it all. They have the semblance of the cryptids being, the same kind of beasties that they were previously. But other than that, it doesn't really feel like MetaZoo. It feels like a brand new thing. And I've been saying this for the longest time. It's not meant for the old zoo players. It's not marketed to us 30 and 40-year-olds who are thinking that it's going to be the same thing that came out 5 years ago when COVID just happened and we were fiending for a Pokemon clone. It's not a Pokemon clone whatsoever. It looks more like what people were saying, like One Piece. It looks like Dragon Ball Z. It looks like a lot of the card games that are newer. It's not necessarily a bad thing because we're marketing to a younger audience. That being said, I think it's really going to kind of cut the fan base and push a lot of people away. There's a positive to that, and there's a negative to that, right? Because you already had an established fan base. You're buying this company with the thought process that you will have not have to acquire the entirety of your fan base. Well, the fan base that was currently in love with the game are not going to get what they liked out of the game. There's some of it is borderless, some is white border, some is black border. There's no flavor text. Just a complete different gameplay whatsoever, top to bottom. I did like they had a mat there. They showed a mat. They had an aura deck, so you're gonna have your own aura deck. So you're gonna be able to hopefully pick an aura every turn, which was my biggest concern with MetaZoo. Other than, I guess my biggest concern with MetaZoo was the very complicated rules that were ever changing and always errated, and a lot of overpowered cards because the erratas and because of the way that the texts were written and all that. It was very confusing, and you needed like a doctorate in order to get all the gameplay and mechanics down. So they seemed like they streamlined that, which is really positive. And the second thing was not only the complicated um, issues with the wording and everything. It was also the fact that you had to pull aura and use aura for turn to get those beasties out that were really important to winning the game, right? Because the beasties attack and they lessen your life points. So when your life points went to zero, you won the game. But it was really hard to get auras because you have a 40 set deck, and what are you going to do? Do 20 auras in a deck, and it was, it made it difficult. Sometimes you get no auras, and you just knew that you were going to lose the game. So I think that's an improvement, especially with how younger people play games now. You have the Pokemon Pocket TCG, you have the Lorcana TCG, you have other games out there that you don't have to pull auras and play them. That is such a difficulty for a lot of people to kind of get the gameplay because their attention span is not the same as us older folks that we can watch, a 2 hour movie and be satisfied and not fall asleep or be on our phones the whole time. Where, kids now, they need that instant gratification, they need that quicker gameplay, they need to get to the point quicker. So I think that's a positive overall for the longevity of the game. It's going to be a negative overall for people who are nostalgic to Pokemon to MetaZoo because they're used to pulling the auras and playing them. Now, so overall, I think that's a positive. So you have an aura side, you have an aura field, you have the terrors in the same spot, so that's the same as the old MetaZoo. And you have only 4 terrors this time, and you have 4 rows. I think they called them. They had a word for it. It's just dodging my head right now. But they have 4 lanes. They have 4 lanes, 4 terrors. There's a terror that coincides with every lane, and there's only one lane. Really, I mean, there's 4 spots to one row, which each one is called a different lane. So it seems like you can only have 4 BCs out at a time, and again, that's going to streamline the gameplay a lot. It's going to be able to port it to other, you know, video games onto an app, and just make it easier for a newer user to get into it. You don't need a background in Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh or something else in order to learn how to play this game. It's really similar to, like I said, Lorcana is really similar to Pokemon TCG, the app. It's a lot similar to a lot of the newer games. All right, so there's only one discard field. The discard field used to be 3 discard fields in the old two. There's only one now. There's your regular deck. Doesn't look like there's a spot for a side deck. And then there's another spot. It's called the caster's field. And the caster field isn't really explained yet. And on the card itself, you have 2 numbers, one on the left and on the right. The left has the aura next to it. So I'm guessing that's what the cost is to summon, cast, whatever you want to say, bring out that beastie. So there's the aura cost on the left, and on the right there's a number there. And I'm not sure if that's how many per deck you can have, if that's the attack, if that's the HP, if that's the HP and attack. And there's also there's 2 terms. There's one term called influence, and I'm thinking that's similar to, the attack and defense if that's doubled, if it's, the same thing. And then the other one is MP, and I'm thinking MP is what ink is to Lorcana, or you get 20 inks and you win the game, or whatever it is. You get 20 MP, you win the game. It's simple. It's a lot more streamlined, and I think it's very to the point. And I think that it's such a big difference, right? It's a really big difference to MetaZoo because I don't see any fourth walls in these, and the terrors are still there, and the traits are still there to a certain extent. They've lessened them, but they're still on the cards. There's no descriptor. There's no weight, height, location, what that beastie has done in its past. All that is gone out of there. So yeah, it's very jarring how different it was, and MetaZoo originally was very jarring in itself compared to other TCGs. So they're really starting over all over again. I'm not sure why they would do that. Um, you know, this is my opinion coming out now, is that I think there should have been some testing done. We went really fast between it being sold, the company folding in January and being sold over the summer and then coming out the next year. There's not been a lot of time to kind of ask the community what they want, or do some testing, or do you know, some research and development. It's been really quick, and I'm just unsure. I mean, the game's probably smooth as itself, but I think as a whole, if you're looking at the whole product, you're going to turn a lot of people away. Again, I have said this over and over again. It's not for us, which is okay, but it seems like it is only for a newer audience, and it might be good that some of this audience will leave MetaZoo because a lot of it's gotten really toxic. Overall, everyone's pretty negative right now. I mean, I've had people just straight up say, "Hey, I'm not buying from you anymore. The new set that's coming out," and I'm selling for charity. So when somebody tells you that, hey, I'm no longer going to donate, $1,000 to charity, because I don't like the cards, that kind of tells you that, man, they really don't like it. So just word of advice to Charlie, like, I don't know what made you go in this route, but it's not anything that it was previously. I don't know why you would stick the name MetaZoo on something that is so completely different from what it was before. I mean, again, you're marketing to a new audience. Why don't you? Why wouldn't you just make up a new name? Why don't you just make a new cryptic game altogether? If that's what you could have done it for cheaper than $2 million, right? You're not really getting anything as a company by purchasing a company for $2 million. I mean, you're getting Adam Ackler and Sam Sinclair, which aren't in this game supposedly, or at least we have no evidence that they're in this game, and they weren't really popular anyway. They weren't like money making entities. You got you own the old game, but then you're not using the old game. So you pay $2 million for a property, and you're not utilizing the property. You're making a new property. Basically, you're starting all over. It might work. Hey, hey, you're way more successful than I am. So I'm trying to. I'll write it out and see how it goes. But it's just jarring how different it is, and how it's just not what anyone was expecting. Um, so yeah, I'm not against it. I like the art. I think the cards look cool. I do like the alternate art cards. I love the playmat. Love the playmat. I love to see how the new game is played. I love to see it be played in less than 50 minutes per game, 3 rounds, 50 minutes. That's not what I could dedicate anymore. I'd love to see where we're going at as far as the next set. I made the joke that The Office didn't get good till season 3. Well, we're in season 2 of MetaZoo, so we'll see where we go from here. But I don't think that enough time was taken into this to consider all the factors here. I think, yeah, I'm a little bit worried that somebody with money came in and said, "I know what's best," and it's not what anyone really expected. Again, could be a hit out the park. I can't wait to see. I'm still getting the stuff that I ordered, so we'll see how that comes in. I would love to see what the print run is on this at this point. Love to see how many people just dip because they said it's not for them. But yeah, MetaZoo's out and it's coming soon. And man, there's a lot of emotions coming through a lot of people. A lot of people are not expecting this. They're not too thrilled with it. I mean, the more I see it, the more I'm looking at the cards, the more I'm looking at the mat. I've talked myself into, hey, this looks like it's pretty good. Like, it's different. It's very different. It's so different that I don't even consider it in the same genre or the same field as the old MetaZoo. But hey, old MetaZoo is dead. Let's see how this goes. I'm willing to give it a chance. I don't think a lot of people will, but at least the people who have been currently watching my stuff, people who I currently associate with. Um, but a new audience, I'll be glad to see a bunch of 13-year-olds to 25-year-olds come into this as a new game, start them from scratch, see how things happen, and excited to see what happens in the next set. If there's any changes that will be made to kind of say, hey, listen, maybe we're off base about these kind of things. Maybe we should have asked a little bit because overall, people are voicing their opinions. So if you're taking the opinions to heart, you have plenty of things to work for, or work on, or work towards. So we'll see. I'm still trying to be as optimistic as possible. It's hard when I'm speaking into the void, but we'll see what MetaZoo happens to be when it comes out in just a couple weeks, right? I can't wait to see the cards in hand. I can't wait to rip them and see what the chases are. I can't wait to see the quality of the cards, see the thickness of the cards, see how the gameplay really is. And I really just can't wait to see a year from now what the game is looking like. Am I even going to be part of it in a year from now? I can't wait to see this all play out because it has been a roller coaster of emotions this past week. We went from zero information to all the information in a week's time. So it's just it's just a lot to take in, right? It's very jarring, top to bottom. It's like a jerky roller coaster ride. And when it stops, nobody knows. All right, y'all. Again, please try to be nice to each other. I see a lot of hateful stuff. I see a lot of trolls in the comments too. I've just been blocking you at this point. I have no time for that. So please stop with your alts. We know who you are. We know who you are. I'm just gonna block all your arts, all your alt accounts. And please, let's be nice to each other. Let's talk nice to each other. Let's talk about what we want for the future in a positive way. And yeah, have a good day. Thanks for watching, and peace as always.